You're scaling a mountain, the air thin and biting cold. You're decked out in the ultimate prehistoric fashion: striped goat fur coat, bear fur cap, and leather-soled shoes tough enough to take on jagged rocks. You've got a copper axe swinging by your side, medicinal mushrooms in your pouch, and not one but two portable stoves crafted from birch bark. Talk about being prepared. Now, fast forward 5,000 years. Your story, frozen in time, resurfaces as glaciers retreat and ice melts. This isn't fiction. It's the extraordinary tale of Ötzi the Iceman, whose life and untimely death give us a glimpse into the distant past. Ötzi, as scientists named him, lived more than 5,000 years ago, long before the Roman Empire or the Egyptian pyramids. He wasn't just any prehistoric man. He was a tattooed adventurer in his 40s with thinning black hair, brown eyes, and a life full of challenges. Despite being genetically predisposed to obesity, Ötzi's lifestyle demanded stamina. He climbed steep mountains, hunted, gathered, and carried an impressive amount of gear. Sure, his knees gave him trouble, and he had stomach issues. Who doesn't after a tough hike? But that didn't slow him down. When he set out on what would be his final journey, Ötzi was on a mission. Or maybe on the run. Archaeologists believe he was in a hurry, climbing to over 3,000 meters, 9,800 feet in the Ötztal Alps. Why? That's where the mystery deepens. As Ötzi crossed a high ridge, danger struck. An arrow pierced his left shoulder, severing an artery and ending his life in an instant. Who shot him? Was it a rival hunter, a tribal feud, or something else entirely? We'll probably never know for sure, but one thing is clear. Ötzi met a violent end. After the attack, the snow came. The ice followed. And Ötzi's body, along with his belongings, lay untouched for millennia. When Ötzi was discovered in 1991, it wasn't just a groundbreaking find. It was like opening a prehistoric time capsule. His gear told a story of survival and ingenuity. That copper axe? It was high-tech for his time. The unfinished bow and arrows. A clue that he was in a rush. And the medicinal mushrooms? Proof that even back then, people had remedies for life's ailments. But Ötzi's body told an even richer story. His tattoos, over 60 of them, weren't just decoration. They were likely part of ancient pain relief practices. Think of it as prehistoric acupuncture. Scientists even studied his stomach contents, revealing his last meal: ibex meat, einkorn wheat, and possibly some dried fruit. Not a bad menu for a guy on the go, though maybe a little heavy for mountain climbing. For as long as humans have been exploring the Alps, glaciers have had a strange relationship with them. They swallow things, bodies, belongings, entire stories, and keep them frozen in time. And then, centuries later, they spit them back out like ancient time capsules. This isn't entirely new. Individual discoveries have been popping up for years. But what's happening now? That's on another level. Thanks to record hot summers and rapidly retreating glaciers, the number of archaeological finds has skyrocketed. Take the Swiss Alps, for example. Among the treasures unearthed is a Roman coin, likely carried by a traveler centuries ago. Why was it there? Was it a trade route? A place of worship? Or maybe someone just lost their pocket change? The possibilities are endless, and every artifact adds a piece to the puzzle. But no discussion of glacial archaeology would be complete without talking about Ötzi the Iceman, arguably the most famous find of them all. Discovered in 1991 in the Ötztal Alps, Ötzi is a prehistoric adventurer whose life and death have captivated scientists and storytellers alike. Based on his remarkably well-preserved remains, we now know Ötzi was in his 40s when he died over 5,000 years ago. He had thinning black hair, brown eyes, and an active but challenging life in the harsh Alpine environment. His last journey, however, ended tragically when he was struck by an arrow and left to be buried by snow and ice. The South Tyrol Museum of Archaeology created a reconstruction of what Ötzi might have looked like, and it's eerie how human he seems. This wasn't just a relic. This was a person with hopes, struggles, and an epic survival story frozen in time. What's even more fascinating is what these discoveries reveal about the people who braved these mountains. Ancient tools show us their ingenuity, from portable stoves to copper axes. Clothing made from animal hides and fur demonstrates resourcefulness in the face of brutal weather. And then there are the unexpected finds, like medicinal mushrooms Ötzi carried with him. Turns out, our ancestors weren't just rugged, they were also scientists in their own right, experimenting with the natural world to find remedies and solutions. This surge in discoveries has given rise to glacial archaeology, a field that's as cool, pun intended, as it sounds. Scientists now study these icy artifacts to map out a surprisingly detailed timeline of human history in the high mountains. They've found everything from prehistoric tools to medieval weapons to remnants of World War I soldiers. Each find tells a story of human persistence, whether it's hunters chasing game, travelers braving the elements, or warriors navigating treacherous terrain. But as exciting as these finds are, they come with a bittersweet reality. The glaciers are melting at an unprecedented rate. While this opens the door to uncovering hidden histories, it's also a stark reminder of climate change and the fragile balance of our environment. The Alps weren't just a physical challenge, but a spiritual one too. Take the Romans, for example. Nervous about rockfalls and avalanches, they didn't rely on their engineering prowess but turned to the gods. They tossed coins into the icy void as offerings to mountain deities, praying for safe passage as they expanded their empire across Europe. But the Alps weren't always kind. Fast forward to the 17th century, when a young woman in her 20s attempted to cross a Swiss glacier. Her outfit was as mismatched as her story. She wore a man's coat and odd shoes, carrying only a wooden bowl, a spoon, and a rosary. Tragically, she didn't make it. Whether it was a fall or the unforgiving cold, her journey ended in the ice, where she remained until her body emerged in the late 1980s. And then, of course, there's Ötzi, the ultimate frozen mystery. Ötzi's body tells a tale of conflict. Days before his death, he sustained a stab wound to his right hand, a possible sign of a fight. Shortly before he died, he suffered a blow to the back. And then, the fatal wound, an arrow to his shoulder that severed an artery. Was Ötzi caught in a power struggle? His gear suggests he was no ordinary man. That copper axe, it was a symbol of leadership, often depicted in stone carvings and found in high-status graves of the time. Was he betrayed? Ambushed? We may never know, but the clues he left behind paint a vivid picture of a man who lived and died amid danger and intrigue. Ötzi's story is just one of many revealed by the melting ice. These discoveries show how humans have always adapted to their environment. The tools, clothes, and rituals of these Alpine travelers reflect incredible ingenuity. From portable stoves to medicinal herbs, they carried everything they needed to survive, thrive, and sometimes take risks that cost them their lives. Forget designer boots, Ötzi's shoes were the real deal. Crafted for high-altitude survival, they featured bare leather soles with a strong grip to tackle slippery, rocky terrain. Inside, they were stuffed with hay for insulation, while the uppers were made from supple deer leather for flexibility. These weren't just shoes. They were engineering marvels designed to handle the harsh Alpine conditions. Compare that to the lighter, less robust footwear found in lowland communities at the time, And you start to see how Alpine life demanded a whole different level of preparedness. And that's Ötzi in a nutshell. Always ready, always resourceful. What makes Glacier Find so fascinating is their raw authenticity. These people weren't laid to rest with rituals or ceremonies. No, they were caught mid-action, on a journey, fleeing danger, or crossing a treacherous mountain pass. It's like pressing pause on their lives. Unlike grave sites, which reflect planned burials, these finds are real-time snapshots of ancient life. They show us what these individuals were doing, wearing, and carrying at the very moment the ice claimed them. For some, the Alps were home, a place where they lived, hunted, and thrived. But for others, like the Romans, the mountains were nothing more than an obstacle to overcome. The Romans used the Alps as a means to an end, whether for trade or military campaigns. And they didn't just pass through. They set up military settlements at altitudes of 2,200 meters. These sites weren't on glaciers, but perched high enough to provide strategic views of the valleys below. Imagine Roman soldiers enduring the cold, building fortifications, and keeping watch over the landscape. These discoveries do more than just tell stories. They connect us to our ancestors in a way that's visceral and real. Seeing Ötzi's bear fur hat or his hay-insulated shoes reminds us that these were people just like us, navigating challenges with ingenuity and determination. And it's not just about survival, it's about understanding the complexities of human life thousands of years ago. These finds show us how humans adapted to their environment, balanced risk and reward, and used every resource available to them. The Romans weren't just warriors, they were builders, thinkers, and strategists. When faced with the Alps, towering, treacherous, and downright intimidating, they didn't flinch. Instead, they carved out road networks through the main mountain passes. These weren't mere trails. They were well-organized routes, complete with way stations for changing horses and refueling. But even the mighty Romans weren't above a little superstition. Scattered across the mountains, archaeologists have found Roman coins left as offerings. Why? To curry favor with the mountain gods, of course. For the Romans, ensuring safe passage wasn't just about engineering. It was about appeasing the divine forces of nature. Roman authors didn't shy away from describing the dangers of the Alps. Avalanches, rockfalls, and sheer cliffs dominated their tales. Yet amidst all the danger, they took a moment to praise one thing: Alpine cheese. Because even in peril, a good wheel of cheese deserves recognition. Fast forward to 1685, and we have one of the Alps' most enigmatic figures. A young woman disappeared on the Portobello Glacier in Switzerland. She was wearing mismatched shoes and a man's coat. Her belongings: a wooden bowl, a wooden spoon, a rosary, and a comb, likely used to battle the lice in her hair. Her story, however, is anything but clear. Why was she there? Was she alone? Was she part of a group? And what led her to such a dangerous place? Here's what we know. She was relatively well-equipped, but not in a way that suggested she was a herder or a local mountain dweller. Her location hints that she wasn't searching for lost animals. Instead, her presence might be tied to the chaos of 17th century Europe, recently devastated by the 30 Years' War. She could have been migrating, seeking a better life, or fleeing some unknown danger. But the truth? We'll probably never know. What we're left with is a haunting snapshot of her journey, a life interrupted by the ice. Then there's Ötzi, the iconic Iceman, found over 30 years ago in a retreating glacier. Ötzi's story has been pieced together with painstaking detail. His gear, his wounds, even the pollen in his digestive system, all of it paints a vivid picture of his final days. Ötzi now rests in a museum, but the glacier that held him for millennia has melted significantly since his discovery. Glaciers aren't just melting, they're revealing, Each artifact, each body, each coin is a story waiting to be told. These finds connect us to the past in a visceral, human way. They remind us of the resilience and resourcefulness of those who came before us. Thanks for watching. Please like the video, press the subscribe button, and also drop your thoughts in the comment section.